Hi, Sportster Paul here. I'm going to introduce the analog diet. It's how I went from this, 318 pounds, to this, 170. And like everybody, I fell off. I put on about 20 pounds. I'm about 190 right now. So another maybe 40 days, maybe we're going to lose that 20 pounds. I've got a spreadsheet going. Here's my spreadsheet started. Here's some spreadsheets from the past. Here's where I went down. It took about 9 months to do the bulk of the weight loss about 3 years ago. Then, gained back up to 200, back down. It's like alcoholism. It's a constant battle, right? You're never cured. So because of the pandemic, it's October now, 2020. So because of the pandemic, nervous eating, I started buying nuts and blocks of cheese and eating those at nighttime. Now we're going back to what I call the analog diet. That's where I can lose weight. I know I can lose weight. And it'll be eating a ton of stuff. You'll see, we're going to start with an omelet. Then I'll splice in when I do my big lunch bowl. I make what I call a Bachelor Bowl every day. Every 2 days I make one. So we'll go through that. And it's analog because it's not all meat like Atkins. It's not no vegetables like keto. It's not all vegetables like vegetarian. It's a balance of those three macronutrients, carbohydrates, but carbohydrates all in vegetables, no refined carbs, no sugar, no alcohol, no bread, no pasta, no rice. I cheat a little with potatoes with some clam chowder. I'll show you one of these shows, but no refined carbs that spike your blood sugar, cause the insulin, do damage to your veins. Fixing myself about 3 years ago, cured my diabetes. A1C went from over 9 to under 5. Glucose plummeted to the level the nurse was like, well, maybe you should start eating some sugar. But I feel good, I'm happy. That's why the vegetable carbohydrates, they bring the energy over a longer period of time. You don't get that spike, and you don't get that insulin spike. So here we go, let's lose these 20 pounds. I'm 190 right now. Let's start with our breakfast omelet, okay? Okay, here at the cutting board, we're gonna start the omelet, a lot of vegetables. A little bit of sour cream afterwards. We'll show you when we're done. One of the secrets, as an engineer, metrics. So I bought a scale, a KD 8000. I'll put a link for my buddy's affiliate account down in the description. Because measuring stuff, measuring the amount of food, I'll show you some of the spreadsheets that I do to figure out, like, this omelet, I think I figured 250, 300 calories. I'll put that up right now. You can kind of examine that spreadsheet. I can link to these if you want in my website that I'll also link to in the description. Let's weigh the vegetables. I haven't done that in a while. So we'll zero it out with this little bowl. So I usually get a little bit of broccoli and one decent size mushroom head. And this is just me, right? But it occurred to me, if you can only get carbs through vegetables, right? Once I made that epiphany of these refined carbohydrates are just causing insulin spikes, and that damages your veins and strokes and all these other problems, diabetes, your insulin trying to protect your veins, and then also cholesterol starts rushing out. I don't limit cholesterol. Of course, I'm lucky. I've always had good numbers on that. But the theory was, let me go get the next batch of vegetables. The theory was, it's the insulin spikes. Cholesterol is trying to plate your veins because your body knows you've got insulin spikes. Went to the fridge. Here's all the stuff. I got a food planning episode I'll post after this, show you all the vegetables I buy. So mushrooms and broccoli already. Then here's maybe just one. It depends how small the asparagus is. One asparagus. Leave the unused stuff on the corner here. Cucumber. Okay, so we have our bowl started. Broccoli, mushrooms, some asparagus. Now we've got cucumber, one slice of cucumber, I'm supposed to be doing this at like 8, 9 in the morning, but setting up all the cameras and fiddling around, it's, good gosh, it's almost 11. All right. I like chayote squash. Chayote, maybe is the way to say it. There's a Chris Smithers song where he talks about mirletons. And if you're in Louisiana, around New Orleans, you're going to hear people call chayote squash mirleton. So I saw these green squash at Publix. They didn't have them this week, so I just got a regular yellow, I don't know, is this a summer squash or a butternut squash? I don't even know what kind it is. Next, onion. What I usually do is come down about halfway and then break it off. I'm not good enough cook to do a thin slice. Get the outer skin gone. Then I just go around radially as an engineer, you can tell, right? Like this. Let's see, I'm pretty sure, here it is. I started on one of these jalapenos, not too many. 1, 2, 3. Back in the bag, back here. Come on. Got a couple on the floor there. That always seems inevitable. Red pepper. I just guess. I'm going to run through, and every 8 days I go to the store. So I'm going to run through both these peppers because I use a lot of I use all these same vegetables in the big afternoon meal. I try to eat around 2 o'clock. Okay, here's the last from the middle drawer of green bags. And fittingly, it's green pepper. Got a little cellophane. People still say cellophane. Is that an archaic word from my mom and dad? Okay. I got a little bit of cellophane there. One thing about the analog diet, it's a lot of work chopping all these vegetables. You know, I don't feel a Vegematic is going to help me. Okay, so I'm going to go to put these away, middle shelf. I've learned to leave the asparagus open. It helps keep it fresh. Otherwise, it gets too wet if it's all wrapped up. And we got the 3 remaining ingredients. Some garbanzo beans, chickpeas if you will, low sodium, just a few of those. English peas, another wonderful thing at Publix, just a little of those. And then some garlic. It comes in a pouch, but I kept one of their older packaging, this bowl. And just a little bit of garlic here. Cut small, because garlic is strong. I don't want to rush cutting. If I cut myself, it'll be like that Julia Child episode. All right. So now we can put these are high calorie. That's why I don't use a lot of them. It's amazing how much more calories in these peas, chickpeas, and garlic. Olives are the worst. So then I get butter out and put it by the stove. I get a couple of eggs, and I get some evaporated milk. Meanwhile, I take this and go to the deionized water we have here. I forgot to turn on the stove. So I'm going to get this. This is going to be ready. We'll show you in a minute. Let me get the stove turned on. I'll turn it on high to get it going quicker. And then we can, doing the eggs is fairly straightforward. I assume no little piece of garlic we'll put back here. We'll reset up the camera so you can. I'm not going to do the omelet, because it's the same omelet every day. That's part of my OCD. The lunch bowl, the Bachelor Bowl as I call it, I top this off to a half a cup. And right back in the fridge, because this is easy to spoil kind of stuff. And then just a fork, and this works. Easy money. I thought about buying a whisk, but it's like, well, not really needed. Okay. Yeah. Just when I think it's all stirred, there's some new stuff, and it'll settle a little bit, and I'll re-stir it. I think so. Okay. Go over to the stove now, and we'll reset things up. That's what's happening. We're kind of done here. We're going to put these in the freezer, the scraps. I used to just throw them away down here, and then a week later I could smell it. So I started freezing the food scraps, and then when the garbage comes, I just put it out frozen, and it's gone. All right, let me reset up the camera. We'll go to the stove, show you cooking this thing up. Okay, we're at the stove. It's been heating for a little while. I should have turned that on and started chopping the vegetables. Got some butter. Even though this is a wonderful scan pan, this is going to work out. I had it hot to make up for the fact that I forgot to turn it on. Now I turn it down to 4.5. And then here's our and of course all the water evaporating. Shake it a little bit. Not too many vegetables this time. I didn't want to struggle with an overstuffed omelet. Now, unlike Emerald, I go wash my stuff, so I'm over at the sink right now, just rinsing out this bowl. Also, good opportunity to do this. Can you see it? This knife right here. Clean that at the sink. I brought a little digital camera, my X50, so we can show you these if it ever starts working. Take a picture here and you can see the stuff cooking. Now, while cooking, I busy myself with other stuff, which is getting a morning beverage. Get some, oops, kind of out of focus there, ain't I? So get a little bit of ice. And I have caffeinated tea in the morning. So this will be all ready. It's another thing find I can get ready. So we got the tea there. How are we doing here? Shooting there is fine. A nice Relware plate. We get the spatula, which I had to modify with a vice grip because the handle broke off. Still haven't gotten around to fixing that. One of these days. So it's going to be a little while doing this. Oh, we can get the, from the freezer, we can get the bag of food waste, and usually I time things a little better. I'm screwed up because of the camera going. Get that all cleaned up. I've found cleaning as you go works a lot better than letting the place turn full bachelor and then, you know, college dorm room, and then doing some big push. So just a little. I do use paper towels. You're going to see me use. I'm sorry, it's sustainable. They're not old growth virgin timber when they make paper towels. It's pulpwood. So the thing is, it's clean. You know, Clorox, decades ago, Clorox did a study. And the study was going to prove how, you know, everything, you need Clorox on everything. And what they found, to their somewhat dismay, the towels and the sponges are where all the bacteria was. The hard surfaces that tend to dry out overnight, hardly any bacteria there. So rather than having a towel that stays moist and grows bacteria and then cleaning my hands and then wiping it on an old dirty towel. Even if it's not old, even a day is all it takes to get it teeming with bacteria. So I use paper towels to wipe up my hands. And you're going to see I'm going to use those Reviva for that type of stuff. This one is a coarser one. So we're a little behind schedule cooking this, so I'm going to log off for a minute. And we're just going to wait a minute. I don't see any point in letting you watch these vegetables cook out, okay? All right, it's cooked down for the most part. You can see it's pretty dry. I've adjusted the camera so you can see what I'm doing over here. I pull it away from the edge because I've had to pick up enough vegetables off the floor. Scrape the vegetables back. This is my personal way, right? Everybody can do it different. Balance these out. And then you'll see what I'm doing next. There's one fell. I get a paper towel and I rub a dry spot. Because this pan has gotten so old and grungy, I do have to butter it. I'll buy a new scan pan in the middle of this series and we'll see if I can do away without the butter. Doesn't use much. So then I go to the rivet here and just go straight back. Come here. And this is necessary. The egg will stick because of the pan's gotten kind of worn out. Butter goes back in the refrigerator. Stir it one last time. Okay, hopefully you can see this. Oh no. Get it back in position up against the edge. And then see the that little dry thing slows it down a little so I can do this. And that contains things. I think you saw what I did there. There's just a little left. You're going to see what's going on with that in a bit. I hope we got audio. We do. It, despite being a thick aluminum pan, it always cooks in the middle. And that's why I've pulled it this direction. So it's pretty much cooked in this little arc right in the center. I wonder if they make a copper pan, 1/2 inch thick. That wouldn't have it. And then I just, the remaining bit, that's not even a quarter cup probably. I just pour here, if only to make this stronger in the middle, give it a little bit of structure. And get the last little bit. Okay. And then same thing, a little bit of soap, you can't see me, but I'm just running a little soap through the, and a sponge to clean the eggs off. There we go there, dry my hands with those paper towels. I do reuse the paper towels 10 minutes later. So, it's still a little wet here. It is mostly cooked there. Pull it back from the edge. Let's see if we can get this. Oh, I spilled some anyway. And just start laying these in. It's going to cook just as we finish up here in the middle. I'm surprised. Usually it's the outside corners that take a while to cook. Do this. I hope you can see all this. And do that. There's a couple little tricks. I got right here a couple. Got this errant pea. Get that fella in. Get this piece of garlic in, a little piece of onion. My OCD coming in full force. Then the closest thing to a trick is, there's some grunge here that I found you got to scrape. If you want to get that omelet up clean, scrape it clean. Maybe you can pull your fingers through it. And then come here, press it down nice and firm, flip it over, press. And we didn't season this one. I'll do that next show. The butter has turned it a little brown, but that can be appealing, right? Get under it, tuck in anything that's slipped, turn off the thing, and then you won't see me. I'm going off screen, putting a little palm olive ultra in the pan. I'm sure you can hear it. And and you're going to kill me because I'm using a Scotch-Brite pad. After the scan pan got a little grody and a lot of stuff that wouldn't wipe off, I started using a Scotch-Brite pad. So this is this pan I put back here. Can you just barely see that maybe? All right, let's take a picture of our beautiful omelet because there's just a couple more things to do. Click, come on. So I have like 5-10 different Sriracha, Cholula, Crystal, Tapatio, Tabasco, Frank's. Let's do Frank's. So some Frank's hot sauce. I think you can just barely see on the close-up cam. Get the Frank's put on this thing. I don't count these as calories. I guess I should. It's probably what, 5 or 10. And then because this is a big, satisfying meal and you're allowed to have fat, the eggs bring protein. This is Bookbinders. Can you see it? Bookbinders, and it's sassy. I love that. And if I can open it, we'll be doing better. I put 2 stripes of this stuff. Close it, store it upside down in the fridge. I got to drain the sour cream because it always gets a little bit of liquid on the top. And then sour cream. And the trick here is you pull it against. I'm saying I'm doing about a quarter cup. Really not sure how much. I should measure it one day. Like that. That, and there's the sour cream. A little messy today. I'm rushing and I'm trying to narrate. Back in the fridge right away. Don't let stuff spoil. Picture of our beautiful omelet. So that's breakfast, analog diet. I'm going to go eat this. I got the stove off. Next will be the lunch bowl. I eat about 2:30. We're going to make that. We'll go through how that all works. Meanwhile, we'll catch you in a few hours when it's lunchtime. Okay, so we had our omelet. I looked it up, 250. I'll put the spreadsheet up, the calculations for how much I forgot to weigh the vegetables this morning. But I'll tune in on that over the next couple months as we lose this 20 pounds that I gained over the pandemic. Now it's the main meal, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, about 1:43 right now. So that's a big, nice Visionware bowl you can put in the microwave, put on the stove top. Actually, I think it's Endureware. We're starting with cilantro, broccoli sprouts. I'd like alfalfa sprouts, but they don't stay fresh. So let's see if we can do it. We got some mushrooms here as well. So I've got my scale. I've got it zeroed out with the little bowl here I used to weigh stuff. Get a nice big mushroom now. 17, we could probably have, my target weight for the vegetables in this meal is between 25 and 35. So, can you see this? Yeah. I don't feel I got to cut these as fine. But once again, the reason you haven't seen the analog diet till now is because it's a lot of work. And if you're married, you got a spouse, having one person prepare the meal for the other is, I don't think, a good idea. It's good to actually prepare the meal yourself and give you a feeling of accomplishment and make it more like a Japanese tea ceremony. So here's some cilantro. I get 2 sprigs. I cut about half. And put this back. Leave that bag open. Let's see how we do for weight here. We are about 13 grams. So I know that I've got a little pad and paper here because I added up. Another tea ceremony kind of thing. I don't have to do this. Oops, I missed a little. Might get up to 14 grams now. 13 grams of cilantro. Toss it down. You can see it's cutting here, cutting here, cut here. It's a Geico knife, or what is it? Gecko? Geico, that's the insurance company. since I own Berkshire Hathaway. It's the first time we're using this. This one I do, you can kind of look and see the net weight is 113 grams. So, you know, somewhere around 25. This one I just guess. But it'll be about that 25 because we're going to make 4 meals. 8-day shopping, food planning. And I flip it upside down for the rest. Let's go get the next batch of vegetables. And this batch of vegetables we're going to get now is the same one we use for breakfast. So I got all those nice green bags. Oops, dropped one. Come over here. The basis of the analog diet, you need carbohydrates. Your brain runs on glucose. So I use these asparagus both for breakfast and this meal. So I just take a bunch of them. I kind of guess. Leave the stems, take the nice delicious stuff. Yeah, this is a little heavy, 49. You'll see I've got a spreadsheet where I figure out how many calories, and I'm shooting for, it'll be over 1,000 for 2 of these meals, right? Because I'm going to eat half of it today and half tomorrow. And you'll see me split it up in a little bit. So here's the asparagus, and we just go through the same vegetables. Green pepper, I take a bigger slice. We're trying between 25 and 35. There's 28. A little bit light. So those 2 green peppers will make 4 of these meals and 8 of the breakfasts to go through. And I kind of guess, but you get pretty good at guesstimating, especially as you get down to the last couple meals and the last couple breakfasts. I'm OCD as far as breakfast goes. I eat that same omelet. The only change up is the different hot sauces I put on it. Whereas here, you'll see over these between 40 and 60 days it's going to take to lose the 20 pounds I gained over the pandemic. How are we doing here? 28. Could stand to be a little bit heavier, but you'll get the principle. I don't want to obsess too much, keep the flow of the show going. Get a little color, I like that. Get one of our towels, dry things off a little. What's this? Onion. So here it's going to be a bit thicker, I can tell. Come on. Flip it over, get the skin off. That's a little thick, but since I'm sure we're going to be at weight, yeah, 41. And, you know, one of the principles, because I'm a technical worker, right? I'm an engineer, so when people say, oh, calories don't matter, well, of course calories matter. They have to matter. You know, if you eat 50 pounds of sugar every day, you're going to be fat. That's just simple as that. Now, there is a thing I've dreamed up, I assume it's in the literature, caloric utilization. You know, do the calories run right through you, or are they stabilized like by vegetables where your body has the time to digest them all? Here I go 2 pretty thick slices of the cucumber. And just for grins, 33. Okay, that's getting target. And go like this. Come on. Which again, it's a lot of work. But I heard a Scott Adams quote, the Dilbert guy. I'm not sure if it's really something he said, but it was along the lines of, if you want to succeed, just find out what it costs and pay that cost. So the cost with the analog diet, no sugar, no starch, no rice, no potatoes, no bread. And that's the extreme. It's 21. Let's go up a little more, make it 27. This is just a regular squash. I prefer chayote, a mirliton, as Chris Smithers says in his song. And cut this. We're really rocking now, okay? Let's get one of those. We had a partial jalapeno here. This one's going to be a little bit light. 10. So I note down jalapenos, 10 grams. And I'll do a little spreadsheet calculation after, part of the tea ceremony aspect of this. Making a big deal out of your eating, right? That's why you just don't want to eat on the go, stop at a drive-through. Make it an event. You know, and for me, that's preparing it. That's adding up the calories every day. Take some pictures of it, and that's that batch of vegetables. So I gather them up, grab the asparagus, back to the fridge. This goes in the, I guess, the upper shelf. The top shelf of the refrigerator is the really high caloric vegetables. You'll see that. And I use, now we're going to the middle shelf. Going to be 2 trips here. Since losing well over 100 pounds, just the way I move, just getting up out of the chair. So it's a lot easier to move around. So here, same thing. Let's guess 35, okay. That was broccoli, same thing. The one thing we have out of this batch of vegetables that we also have for the breakfast. I cut them a little coarser, but I think this helps in the cooking, certainly helps in the eating. Since I just went shopping, you're going to see me get to open. Whereas most of these vegetables I go through in just the 8 days, the carrots and the radishes I actually do in 16 days. These last, so this is 45. It's 42 is the nominal. I have these Publix little clamps. Oh, and when the carrots are new, oops, don't drop them. Carrots are new, I also notice you got to drain them. Can you see me over here? All the water that came out of them. There's stuff online about, well, keep some vegetables warm. It's, look at the way Publix does it. You know, it keeps them cold. So here's these. Oops. I'm rushing a little bit. I don't know why. Film's cheap. I'd like to let these cauliflower florets last 2 weeks, but they just won't. They get brown. So, although I say 35, it's not 105. That's a little heavy. Let's cut about that much off. We're 71. So I think it's 74 if you divide the weight of this by 4 for the 4 meals we're going to make that last 8 days. And this is the only way I could keep the cauliflower fresh. So we're eating a lot more cauliflower than I might normally, but it's good, healthy stuff. And there is questions. You know, everybody says healthy for vegetables. I think it's healthy. To me, the health is because the carbohydrates are metered out in a slow fashion. Got some extra radishes. Radishes, I think 56 is the magic number. 59, close enough. That would be dividing this by 8 to make 8 meals that last 16 days. Hope that's clear. You'll see me split this up, right? I'm going to split this in half when we go to cook it. And even if it takes 60 days to lose this 20 pounds, I'm never going to make this meal the same. Although the vegetables are going to be the same every time. What won't be the same is the protein. So it could be beef, pork, chicken, snapper, salmon, scallops, shrimp. This is baby spinach. Once again, just went to the store, so we get to open this one. Come on. It says easy open bag. I've never had it work right once in my life. The magic number here, dividing the weight by 4, is 35, 28, 35. And get the thing. Keeping this fresh, I found the secret is shaking it and fluffing it up. And that's, I used to try to get romaine lettuce, or there's a mix, spring mix. They go bad. By the 8th day, they're a little too soggy. This baby spinach lasts easily, stays crispy, stays appetizing. And here's baby kale mix. I hate to be a yuppie eating kale, but kale is one of the other leafy vegetables I found that last. Same weight, so it's the same 35 grams, 29. It's going to get us to 35, well, a little heavy. Usually I don't like putting stuff back in. I figure that's just taking bacteria off of my fingers and putting it in the bag. Same deal, fluff it up so it'll last. Get the kale. Here we go. Because I lost the weight, the big weight, the 100 and some pounds, I lost it pretty quick. I think it was 9 months. There I was using 22 grams. Really, it wasn't healthy because I think it was under 1,000 calories a day I was eating. This one, it's going to be close to about 1,000. For the Brussels sprouts, I just kind of guess. This is going to last 4 of them, so 1, 2, 3, I probably have one more. It's more the count than the weight. The weight is too hard to get because there might be the right size, there might not. Split them once like that. Dump our stuff. Split them once like that. Okay, so that's these vegetables. I gather them up. I bought radishes by mistake. I got way too many. So these go back in the middle shelf. And then I lost a little broccoli here. Let's add it to the cause. Then I've learned to cut the celery sideways. Celery 2 or 3. This is pure roughage, almost 0 calories. What's going to be interesting is I'm going to do what I call the top shelf vegetables, and the one batch. All these vegetables will have as much calories as the 22 grams of top shelf, high caloric vegetables. And I'll show you the spreadsheet right now. It shows all these different calorie values for all these different vegetables. And they're by order of calories per gram. And you can see how much olives have, let's say. So now we're going to do this green bean. Here's another one. I can't keep fresh for 2 weeks, even though it's a big, 1 pound bag, 12 ounces. So I end up measuring out, they're not high in calories. I think 84. Divide this by 4, you get 84. Oh, and then to keep them fresh, I leave them open down in the bottom drawer of the refrigerator. And because if it gets wet, I've noticed that's when vegetables go bad. Some vegetables, right? So there's Analog Diet has some food planning. It has some freshness. But it's great. This is my first meal after going to Publix to shop. Looks like my camera gave up the ghost, sadly enough. We're done with the still pictures at breakfast, I guess, were the ones you're going to get. All right. So this goes back. Now we'll get those high-calorie vegetables. Wait till you see this. I'm going to have that spreadsheet on my website that I'll link in the description here. And for these vegetables, because they got so much more calories per gram, I keep, like when I was really losing 100 pounds, 22 grams. So manzanilla, thrown, otherwise they're stuffed, you can't get them out of the jar, thrown Spanish olives. I've drained it, count out 20, probably gonna have one more. Oops, not 3 more, not 28. And here you really wanna watch the weight, you know, just a few grams. So there's 23 grams, close enough for government work. I cut them in half because it's a strong vegetable, but also because about 2-3 times a year I find one with the pit still in it. And you do not, if you're an old guy like me, want to break a tooth. Then the peas, another high calorie, not as high as the olives, but right up there. Shake these out. Oops, 23, close enough to 22. I picked 22 because you could type it in quicker. What's this? Vigo artichoke hearts. Can you see that? Get 2 of those. Let's see what it weighs. Just 34, 33, yeah. Even though these are baby, I quarter them. See, it's a lot of work. That's why I don't think anybody's invented the analog diet. Let's dry this with one of our towels. What else haven't we done? We haven't done reduced sodium garbanzos. Shake out. That's a little high. I told you I'm going to be precise. Let's be precise. 22 grams. Those go in. Then garlic, which I've repackaged in the old style. Now they use pouches, which I hate. But I saved one of their jars. 21, that's close enough. And the jar happens to be organic. I don't get the organic peeled garlic in the pouch. Same company. They just, middle management decided to prove their worth by saving money by going to a pouch. But fortunately, I managed to save a couple of the plastic jars. So, that's that. Now, that's the vegetables. Now, for the protein, I went, can you see this? Publix. I used to get like flank steak, things like that, about 177 grams, 177 calories in 100 grams, I think. And so now I got to kick roast beef. And as the sauce, you could put Alfredo. That's the variety of this. Different protein, different sauces or fats. You know, different cheeses, different sauces. So I have them slice it pretty thin. You weigh this out. It is 228 grams. I note that because we're going to add all this up at the end of the show. Today, oops, doing it backwards, beef. And I'll multiply it out to get the total calories over here. And then, I guess we can do it like this. Then see, a lot of work in the analog diet, cubing up all the beef. It's nice because it's already cooked, right? If it's flank steak, and people will be upset with me because I cook everything that needs cooking, all the proteins, fish. I cook it in the microwave, including the scallops. My young buddy who has a YouTube channel, he about died. He's like, no, you have to saute them. And no, I figured just heat them up. This is a technical worker's way to lose weight. Am I off camera yet? Not quite. I'll put on the screen, maybe at the end, so let's get a handful of these, come like this. Now we're going to cube them up, fairly small cubes. Then you'll see my little trick. Oh, this is, and you can see from the size of the bowl, it's too much to eat for one meal. That's why I'm making 2 meals. And it just kind of worked out. And it gives you one day where you have to prepare. Then it gives you a day off where you can just cube these up. Am I still on camera? Barely. Here. Since beef is high calories, I try not to use too much of it. Sometimes I might get as much as 0.8 of a pound. And sprinkle this. Let's maybe bring this in so you can see. You kind of balance it over here. One of them got away from me. Just spread them out evenly. Okay? So then we could put all kinds of different sauces. That's going to be the variety we're going to see over the next couple months. But since it's beef, let's stick with a beef kind of thing for the sauce. Hormel chili, no beans. Get the Publix. It's got a little crank on it. I love it. Open this up. Whip it open. Run the can opener under the water a little bit. Pry this guy out. I assume you all know the trick. If you go like this and punch a hole, it just brings the whole thing out. I'll wash the can. I'll leave some. Well, the water isn't going to. That's the one problem of punching a hole in the bottom to get it to come out in a big slug. Get a spoon. Kind of spread it out. Okay, and this is slightly messy. I wish I had a longer spoon. Go around. Usually it takes about 12 times around. So 1, 2, bringing the dry vegetables up, and these, stabbing motions are what's doing more of the mixing than bringing stuff up. You see, I guess you can see from the sky cam. I got a big crane set up in the kitchen. I was going to do these every 2 days so you could see the variety. I think I'll do these shows once a week. It'd be 8 shows to lose the 20 pounds, and I'll just talk about, I had 8 breakfasts. It won't even be once a week. It'll be once every 8 days because that's my food planning regime. Kind of lost count, but you can see it's getting mixed up, the little cubes of beef and the Hormel chili without beans. Beans, I feel, are a little bit starchy, I guess a garbanzo is a bean, so I'm not totally. It's analog, right? It's trying not to be too strict, other than no refined carbohydrates, no fruit even, because that's fructose, which is no different than glucose. I do try to stay away from like sweet corn, but those English peas, you can see from that chart, they got a lot of calories. So this is pretty well mixed. Now we got to get a little technical work. I hope I don't lose you folks. It's a little bit goofy. So we'll put this here, take the scale and zero it out because it was tiered for this bowl. Carefully put, don't drop it, and see that the weight of the food with the bowl is 2,902 grams. I want to split this equally for a meal tomorrow. So let's take 2,902. Can you see this? 2. Subtract the weight of the bowl, which I happen to know is 1513 grams. Divide it by 2, because that's what we're doing this whole thing for. Then you got to add the weight of the bowl back in, because that's what we got, plus 1513. I hope you followed it. It's 2207.5, you round to even, so 2208. 2208 grams is 2,208 grams. So then you get the small Endureware bowl. Maybe I'll put some links. And I've learned, push it in, because otherwise stuff falls down this way. Put it on the edge, and then just patience while it kind of gets started here, and then you can go a little further. Dig a little out of the center. See, there's always some dry alfalfa or broccoli sprouts. This probably was too much. Let's see. 2167. So we can put some back. 21.89, what do we got to do? Not much more. 22.03, you don't got to be perfect. I don't want to go Adrian Monk. 22.09, 1 gram off. And then, probably shouldn't be doing this, it's not, it's taking bacteria from my finger, putting it in here, and then immediately, before you do anything, put this up, put it in the fridge, right? So it's going to be nice and fresh tomorrow. I used to cook both and then split it after I cooked it, and it occurred to me, what are you, nuts? So then here, it's a little sloppy. Go down here. You can stir it up a little because now it's not overflowing the bowl, right? And this is good stuff. It should be, because we're going to add cheese to it, because that's, at this point of the diet, until I stop losing, if I'm not losing a couple pounds every 2-3 days, well, then I'll leave the cheese off. But I like Parmesan cheese. Now I put the bowl, and then we go put it over here. So I've got my fantastic Sharp commercial microwave. This goes in here for 2 minutes. Well, let's make it 3 minutes. So that's doing its thing. Meanwhile, I get a single paper towel. Sorry I use so many paper towels. We're going to put the lid of that bowl on the jar to keep track of how many times we've warmed it up. Get the spoon over there. I guess it's a good time as any to clean up. You won't see Emerald washing his dishes, but to me I want to have a lifestyle show where it's like, no, this is how you can, everything will fit together. Can you see this far over? Just barely, where I put the recycling out there. We can clean this knife. We're done with that. Oops, put the knife back. Put this down here. I think we're going good. We're done with the Skycam. Well, not really. We'll leave it run. We're going to have some big files to edit in this show. We got, you can just barely see, we got all this. Like I say, I used to throw that in the garbage. Then I wondered why the garbage would stink. And then you get your Febreze and your Lysol, and then it's like, no, just don't throw food waste in the garbage. I put it in one of the extra, the used bags, and put it in the freezer. And it won't stink. And then on the day, matter of fact, tonight is garbage goes out for pickup tomorrow. So we're doing okay there. Analog diet is, like I say, in some senses it's extreme. No fruit, no alcohol, no refined carbohydrates. But it's analog in the sense of it doesn't deprive you of protein, doesn't deprive you of vegetables, doesn't deprive you of fats. There are 3 macronutrients: protein, fats, carbohydrates. This trainer buddy of mine I talked about in one of my gym health shows, I said, hey, how about that Atkins thing? I'll just eat meat because you're a high protein guy and it puts on muscle. He said, no, your brain runs on glucose. So then you get into this keto kind of business where you have no carbohydrates, you're not eating vegetables, you're not eating anything with carbs in it. So then your body uses ketones. Okay, let's go over here. And converts. So you pull this out, put the lid of the bowl down here. Probably can't see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Scrape sides of the bowl a little bit. Put the lid back on. I have a little pad just to keep the bowl. I figure it keeps heat transferring out of the bowl. Piece of paper towel, fold it up. Let's do 2 minutes. So he said, you want to be grumpy all day? Don't eat carbs, right? Because then your body goes keto. And if you're, people with diabetes that take insulin to really lower their blood sugar, they can get ketoacidosis. That'll kill you in 24 hours because the ketones that are trying to convert non-carbs into carbs, because your brain has to have the glucose, it has to run on carbohydrates. So the principle that I've adopted is the problem isn't carbs per se. It's refined carbs that put this big big spike in blood sugar, and then you get an insulin spike to counteract that. The insulin spike is what damages your arteries, causes the diabetes, causes insulin, what do they call it, resistance, where the insulin doesn't seem to work and it pumps more and more. So by not giving up carbs, but only carbs in vegetables that take a long time. You can have a tablespoon of Metamucil every day too. That helps slow down it's soluble fiber, and that slows down the release of carbohydrates into your system. But like I said, in the morning, my A1C went from over 9 to under 5. And that did take full easily 6-7 months towards the end of the 9 months when I lost, from 300 pounds down to 170. I'm at 190 this morning, so hopefully 8 days from now, we'll start a new show and we can report my progress, and I'll describe, my working camera should be here any day. I'll just show pictures of the different combinations. And that's going to be one of the hooks of this series. I'm never going to make the same lunch meal. I eat it twice, one day after another, but it's going to be different. Some subtlety with, there'll be beef and chili today. Then a couple of weeks, it'll be beef and Alfredo sauce. And then it'll be chicken and gravy. And all these different things that, to me, even though it's the same vegetables, you could just pick 4 vegetables, 5 vegetables, and use those for one meal, and then the second, third, fourth. I just prefer on having all the vegetables. So that was another 2 minutes. Take the lid, slap it down so you can see the imprint in that paper towel. 3, 4, 5, 6. Shake it a little. Clean the sides a little. I hope you can see all this. Put the lid back on. Put it back in. And fire it up. So, I don't want to be all tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, but I do believe there's some truth that industrial agriculture pushed carbs on the American people, what they call the SAD, the Standard American Diet. The pyramid where most everything is grains and refined carbs. For me, the pyramid it starts with this base of vegetables. Carbohydrates, yes, because you need carbs, because that's what your brain runs on. But then, in addition to the carbs, protein, because especially for an older guy like me, you start getting muscle wasting. And the combination of the exercises I'm doing on my Body Solid gym and a high protein, you saw how much protein, we cut that beef up as well as there's protein in the chili. And then the fats, and my trainer buddy said, fat, we've learned now, fat doesn't go into your bloodstream, right? You eat a lot of fatty food, it doesn't magically cross your digestive boundary, get in your blood and make cholesterol. His theory that I have adopted is eating all these carbs are giving us insulin spikes. And that's when your body says, oh my gosh, I got to protect all my arteries and veins. Let's dump all this cholesterol to plate the inside to protect it from the insulin. So I've adopted that method or that thinking. And like I say, there's conspiracy theories about, Procter & Gamble or whoever invented Crisco is, trying to push stuff on us. The trainer said the problem with fats is they are very high in calories, they taste very good, and they have very little nutrition. Now, that's certainly true. I have a friend who thinks olive oil is a medicine. You got to eat olive oil every day. Olive oil, you go look it up. A cup of olive oil has more calories than a cup of butter, right? So and that used to be before I started this kind of diet lifestyle. I used to, it's a salad. I'll have a salad once every 2-3 days, and I'll just pour a lot of olive oil on it. And I didn't buy the scale. So I didn't weigh all this stuff. So I really didn't keep track of my caloric intake. So the analog diet, carbs, fats satisfy you. That way you're not going nuts, crawling the walls. Okay, so that was almost the last one. That was the third heat. There's 2 rings you can see on my paper towel here. Can you see it? Not really. Slap that down the last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now usually, instead of talking to you nice folks, while the microwave's working, I get a beverage, I get decaf iced tea this time of the day. One of the things we can do now, because I said I'm going to zero that out with this little bowl, and I just love Parmesan cheese. I've been getting Kraft, shake it up to break up the clumps, and I put 80 grams will be the total. So each meal, today and tomorrow, there's going to be 40 grams. So I weigh out 40 grams here. 31, 33, 37, 38, 40, right on the money. So 40 grams, 40 the next time, and sometimes it's ridiculous. Sometimes I actually cheat. Because usually when this camera works, I take a picture to keep myself honest. But I take a note, okay, so we have the beef, we have chili, and I've got my spreadsheet, I got all this figured out, how many calories in that. Chili, the vegetables, and Parm cheese. And I know Parm cheese, 80 grams, 4 calories a gram. That's 320 calories. As much as all those vegetables, I think. I'll show you that spreadsheet. And you can see, where the calories are and how and I'll put the spreadsheet up on, if it helps you folks. And this is how I keep track of how much, I'll add this up. There'll be I'll try to get that picture in towards the end of the show. Let's do it now, thinking of the future. And here's a picture of this little scratch sheet that I do every meal, every preparation. Tomorrow, it's all in there. Just throw it in the microwave 4 times, 2 minutes, 3 minutes each, depending on how hot I want it. And off we go, okay? So let's check. And as I say, usually when it's cooking, I'll clean up, like there's still some mess from breakfast, use my Clorox wipes, clean up, do that. Just keep myself occupied, standing up, moving around in the kitchen. What else? Can we do anything? This is set, that's set, this is set. Yeah, we kind of got ahead of ourselves here. So I'm going to leave it play. I think it's good to have this real time to show you how quick it is, right? And you've got to make a tea ceremony out of it. All this recording stuff, weighing stuff. Make a big deal out of it, and that way it's more satisfying. Just like people, they put fine wines in cheap bottles, and if people think it's an $800 wine, it tastes better to them. And they're not being dishonest. It really does taste better because your body has accepted, your mind has accepted and controls your body. So that's it. Now I take the towel, rip it in half, grab this, it's still got that other towel in the bottom, and come over here. Are we still recording? Take the top, that goes in the sink for later. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Level it out. Usually I take a picture right now. We'll have to do without that. And then the cheese. And this is a lot of food for one meal, right? It really satisfies you. So this is going to carry me, it is 224. This will carry me in around 4 or 5 o'clock. I make a decaf coffee, a big decaf, like 5 cups in this health system thing. But which is 0 calories, but I have milk and whole milk to get the fat to satisfy me. And I put almost a cup of milk in there, easily 150 calories. And that's like my evening 5, 6 o'clock, settles me, kind of rests me, and I can go to bed. So that's the analog diet. Like I say, this was a big production. I'm not going to do this setup and all these cameras every time. And so I'll be back in 8 days to talk about the 3 other meals I made, show you some pictures of those, and my little chart. I'm 190 now. I want to get down like 170. And probably I could stand to be 160, which is my high school weight, right? People who say it's harder to lose weight as you're old, that's a fallacy. You're more sedentary when you're old. There's no peer-reviewed study that says older people are inherently harder to lose weight. Your metabolism might slow down because you don't move around much, because you don't ever exercise. So that's part of the aspect. Doing the exercises, analog diet. So we'll see you in 8 days. Hopefully I won't be 190 anymore, okay? Catch you next time.